Hello, Happiness Abounder, and welcome back. So this weekend, I had the honor to be interviewed on another person's podcast. And the person asked me this question that, I'm going to be honest, kind of took me off guard. I was like, wait, that's a thing? And then I realized, of course it's a thing. And so I wanted to talk about it today in a little bit more detail with you one-on-one. So here was the question that I was asked. Do I feel like it's appropriate for people to feel happy with everything that's going on in the world? And what took me off guard was it's always appropriate to feel happy. In the midst of crisis, in the midst of war even, it's appropriate as human beings for us to have that happiness, that joy in our lives. Regardless of what is happening around us in the world, we each deserve, are capable of, and are completely worthy of happiness. It's something as humans we all desire. So when I was asked this question, it really kind of took me for a loop because I was like, I can see where that's coming from. And I realized that maybe you are feeling this way too. And if you are, there's this call. You're listening to this episode, you're listening to this podcast because you want to be happier. But maybe there's a belief down there somewhere that's keeping you from making the actions, taking the steps to start to feel happy because maybe you believe that now is just not the time. There's so much suffering in the world, there's so much going on, that if you were to invest in your happiness, it'd be selfish and tone deaf. And to that, this is what I have to say. Investing in your happiness is one of the best things you can do to provide light, positivity, and goodness to the rest of the world. So when it feels like everything is swirling around you, falling apart around you, that is the time to truly lean into understanding the happiness formula, understanding who you are, your identity, how you function in the world, your templates, understanding your vision for happiness, working through those mindsets and those beliefs that may be holding you back, and taking leadership in your life. Identity plus vision plus mindset plus leadership can equal happiness. But if we say, oh no, it's just not the right time to focus on my happiness, you are letting the bad things in the world continue. I'm going to say that one more time here because it's so vital and crucial, important. If you say, I can't focus on my happiness right now because there's so much bad in the world, you are contributing to the situations. When you step into your best self, your happiest self, your most abundant life, that is when you can contribute the most to the world, the most to the causes that have you currently going, I couldn't be happy right now. Now I understand, I don't want this to be a lecture of some sort around the fact that we should be happy. We should be happy. But what I'm saying is yes, you can also be unhappy. You can be dissatisfied with the things that are happening in the world, but also you cannot use that as an excuse to not focus on and strive for your own happiness. I'm not saying, sunshines and rainbows, whatever's happening in the world, just ignore it and focus on your happiness. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying we can feel emotions, negative and positive, but the things that are happening right now are not an excuse to stop focusing on your happiness. Because when that happens, all the bad things in the world win. So you may be like, Taylor, what are you talking about? How can I be happy and unhappy at the same time? The thing is you can feel emotions. You can feel what we deem as quote unquote negative emotions and still be able to come back to the other side of the pendulum and do the actions that can help you feel happier. That doesn't belittle the dissatisfaction of what's going on in the world. That doesn't belittle the anger you may feel about what's happening. But what it does is it allows you to step into your best, most happy self so that you can address those emotions and address what's happening in the world as your best self, instead of addressing it in a sense of anger, sadness, and despair, and feeling like there's nothing you can do and it's just not the right time for you to focus on your happiness. Do you see the difference there? One is action-oriented, and action is the antidote to fear. And I look at everything that's happening in the world today, right now. There's a lot of fear. And I think that's another component of why there's this belief that this is not the time to focus on your happiness. Because you're afraid that people are going to say you're selfish. You're afraid that people are going to think poorly of you because of everything that's happening in the world. It's just not the right time. I'm here to tell you it is. Because if you want to make that impact in the world, you do need to take the steps. Make the focus on your happiness. Because then you can take all that positive momentum, that light, that goodness, and apply it to those negative emotions and those negative situations and see them in a different way that can help you overcome them and bring more goodness into the world. That's my 2 cents at least. But when I was asked that question on the interview, I was like, wow, what an interesting concept. And it makes me think a little bit like many of you who listen are probably business owners of some sort. It's the audience I tend to attract. And it makes me think of when COVID first hit, how there was all this information or these ideas and this belief out there that this was not the time to sell. This was not the time to promote your business, not the time to try and sell products, services, programs. In my mindset, I went, this is the ultimate time. Because if you are a service-based business owner, you have something you can offer someone in the world to help their life be easier, be better, be improved. This is the time to let people know that you do that. Even more so because you can help them through this trying time. Versus kind of cowering in the corner and letting the world pass you by, feeling stagnant instead of progressive. And this feels that same way, except for on a more personal level. If you feel like happiness is not something you should be wanting or desiring right now, I want you to take a hard look and ask yourself why. What beliefs do you have in place that if you were happy right now, what would that mean? And I would bet money that it's people would say, well, you can't be happy right now. There's so much going on in the world. And my hope is that this episode, me talking to you right here today, can help shift any belief that you have and help you be able to say to that person, well, actually, when I'm my happiest self, I'm my best self, and that's when I can devote myself more fully to the cause, whatever the cause may be. Or I can devote myself more fully to helping solve the situations that are happening. I can stand straight instead of slump-shouldered. I see a lot of slump shoulders lately. And if you are a happiness abounder, if you're listening to this episode, I know you are one of those people who does not want to be slump-shouldered. You want to stand straight and tall. You want to be happy. You want to make a difference. And I hope that this episode has shifted any mindset you have around the reason that maybe you can't. Because it is the time to focus on your happiness. It is the time to put in place the happiness habits that can transition your life, transform your life, so that you can be a better help to others as well. Now you may be thinking, Taylor, what do I do? Like, not only do I have this belief and now I'm working through it and I understand where you're coming from, but now what are my next steps? I would say if you're a longtime listener of this show, your next steps are go back, listen to a couple of episodes, because there is an action item in every single episode that I share. Do one of those action items, whatever you feel called to. Alternatively to that, just think about what makes me happy and start doing a little bit of that every single day. Even if it's just for 5 minutes a day, that will start to transition and shift your state so that you can be mentally, physically, emotionally happier. So I'm going to leave you with that today. And I'm also, if you are interested and you're like, I don't really know what I can do, what can make me feel better and happier, I don't know what actions I can take, I would encourage you to go to happytexts.happinessabound.com and check out my Happy Text program. For less than 5 minutes a day, you get a text message sent to you every weekday that shares information about happiness and an action item that you can do in less than 5 minutes to increase your happiness. So if you're like, what are my next steps? I encourage you to go check out that page, see if it resonates with you, and go from there. So that said, I hope that you have a wonderful day. And the action item from this episode is just to think about what beliefs you may have and the reasons why, and maybe create an alternate belief so that you can step into and enjoy your life and be happier. So that said, have a wonderful day. Thanks for tuning in. And above everything else, remember, you are capable of happiness abound.